Hi everyone, this is the second Flex Week online learning on this model, which we call the PPF, Production Possibility Frontier. It's a very simplistic model to look at the economy in general, so take a look at it and then refer back to your notes, okay? Now this is the PPF. Now PPF is a diagram with two axes. This is the y-axis and this is the x-axis. These are common mathematical denominations. Now on these two axes, it measures two different goods that we assume that the economy can produce. Of course, it's a simple model. We only have two goods. Okay. Example will be rice on the y-axis and sugar on the x-axis. Now there are several points on the diagram that can show the concepts that we have studied so far. Now, this is the PPF. Now, this is the maximum extent of rice and sugar that an economy can produce given how much resources that it has. Now, the resources are the categories that we have gone through earlier: land, physical capital, human capital, labor, and entrepreneurship. Okay. Now, given what it has, the maximum extent of rice and sugar that it can produce is this curve that we call the PPF. Now, B will be a point whereby the economy only produces rice. All the resources are used to produce rice. Okay, so zero sugar and all rice. Okay, compare this with point A, zero rice, okay, and all sugar. Okay, now if you don't want extreme points, you can choose a combination on C and D. Okay, whereby you produce some rice and some sugar. Okay, so these points on the PPF are possible points that you can produce. Now, point E is a possible point as well, but it's an inefficient point because you're within the PPF, you're inside the PPF. You're producing less rice and sugar than what you could if you put all your resources to use. So this is an inefficient point. All right, you're producing less rice and less sugar than your maximum you're able to. So point E is an undesirable point. Okay, you're underperforming. Point F is impossible point. It's unattainable because you don't have the resources possible to produce point F. Okay. Now, these points represent the few concepts that we have been talking about so far. Now, point F shows you scarcity. It's not able to, the economy is not able to attain any point outside of the PPF. This PPF, this boundary here is a maximum extent, all right, of these two goods that this economy can produce. So point F, which is outside of this boundary, is not possible. Okay, so it shows you scarcity. Things are not enough. All right. Now, because things are not enough, you got to choose. You can choose to produce all rice, okay, point B, all sugar, point A, or combination C or D. Okay, so when you make a choice, you must give up some of the other. All right, so from point B to point C, you can see that the amount of rice goes down a little bit, okay, but you get some sugar. All right, so to obtain one, okay, you must give up some of the other. Okay, now this opportunity cost is reflected by the fact that there's two products here. When you want more sugar, you must give up some rice. So rice is the other alternative, is the second choice, because this economy can only produce two products. So the other one must be the next best alternative, the second choice. So if you want more sugar, you must give up some rice. So this reflects opportunity cost. Okay, to have one more unit of sugar, you must give up some rice. All right, so this PPF gives you an idea of the three concepts, the very important concepts that we have talked about so far. Now, PPF comes in two shapes. The first one that we're going to talk about is a concave shape that looks like this. This is a concave shape. Now, concave shapes has a representation. It reflects increasing opportunity cost. Now, how does this work out? Now, let's follow the points from point A to point B to point C. Now, assuming the economy starts production at point A, where it produces 6 million kg of rice and 4 million kg of sugar, and the economy wants more sugar. Okay, now initially to get from point A to point B, where the economy has more sugar, you only give up 1 million kg of rice. Now take a look at what happened from point B to point C. From point B to point C, to get another million kg of sugar, you now got to give up 2 million kg of rice. Okay, so when you get to the extreme points, you must give up more and more of the other good. Okay, now this reflects increasing opportunity cost. Now why does the economy sees increasing opportunity cost when you approach the extreme points? Now we did a demonstration in lecture whereby we assume that an economy has a variety of resources. Some resources are better suited into rice production or sugar production. Now when you want all resources to produce one kind of good, okay, you have to give up resources that could be very well suited to produce the other one, which is rice. Okay, so when you want to produce more and more sugar, you have to give up some land, for instance, that's much better in producing rice. So you're going to give up a lot of rice production for some increase in sugar, because that resource at the end may not be very suitable to producing sugar, but you want it anyway. Okay, so a concave PPF reflects an unevenness in suitability, okay, of the resource in producing either rice or sugar. Okay, so it assumes an unevenness. That means some resources are better suited for either of the good. Okay, so which is why when you want a lot of just one thing, one good, okay, you're going to give up a lot of the other as you approach the maximum amount. Okay. A straight line PPF, on the other hand, is reflecting constant opportunity cost. The exchange is always the same. Okay, you want 1 more million kg of sugar, you always give up 1 more million kg of rice. So the exchange is always constant. This is reflected by a straight line. Okay, so the same quantities of the other good is always sacrificed for the same quantity of one. Okay, so the sacrifice is always the same. Exchange is always the same, and this is reflected by a straight line PPF. Now take note, the PPF, which is the maximum extent of the two goods that economy can produce based on how much resources that they have, this boundary can shift. Okay, now it can shift because of two reasons. The amount of resources could be changing. That means the economy may have more land, more labor, more capital, more entrepreneurship. It can produce more, for example. Now, a change in the level of technology can also cause the maximum extent to change. For instance, the population could now be using a lot of computers, all right, or technology, and they can produce much more than using a non-digital way of production. So the level of technology and the amount of resources can change the maximum extent of production of the two goods that's reflected by the PPF. So the PPF can shift according to these two factors. Now in this example, we have an increase in resources. Could be increase in land, increase in capital, increase in labor. Okay, so you see that the maximum of rice and sugar that this economy can produce will increase. Okay, so there's an increase in the amount of rice that this economy can produce, increase in the amount of sugar that this economy can produce. We call this phenomenon an outward shift of the PPF. So PPF 1 shift outwards to PPF 2. Now when you draw a diagram, please label the axis and label the curves. Okay, and draw the arrow in the direction of the shift. Okay, so this is an outward shift from PPF 1 to PPF 2 because it's an increase in resources. Now sometimes the event may only affect the production of one good. Now in this example, you have technological advancement affecting rice production only. Okay, so the economy can now produce more rice. Okay, more rice. But for production of sugar, it remains the same. Nothing is changing for sugar. Alright, so when you combine the extreme points, PPF 2 will look like this. Now we call this an outward rotation. Okay, and please label the product for rice. Okay, it rotates outwards for rice. Okay, so sometimes the event can affect the production of one good only. So please read the question carefully. In this example, we have technological advancement affecting sugar only. So if it's for sugar on this axis, it will be outward rotation for sugar. The maximum amount, okay, increase from here to here. Okay, and this is reflected by the new PPF, which is PPF 2. Okay, draw the arrow. Okay, and remember to label the axis, rise in sugar. Okay, so this is event affecting one good only for sugar. So the maximum amount of sugar production goes up. Rise remains the same. Okay, so outward rotation for sugar only. Okay, this is the end of online learning for PPF. Take a look at your notes again and go through this very simple model that shows how your economy functions. Okay, see you next week.